it lets you find that love that you have for that person in other aspects of your life too, which it seems like you've poured into the music.
I've fundamentally changed as a person because of that relationship for the better, which is an amazing thing. I'll always be grateful for.
Your songwriting, I feel like, has just gotten better and better from what I've heard from this project into the last project.
Thank you.
Of course, it really paints a picture, I think, of what you want people to understand, and it sort of feels like you're putting your thoughts into words and songs that are digestible for other people and for yourself. And so I guess where I want to start is like from that project going into this one. Did it get easier to sort of put your thoughts pen to paper than it was when you were putting out that first one?
Like, no, kind of, honestly. I mean, I think I just made it a more complicated process because I had the ability
this time?
Yeah. Like, I feel like initially when I'd started, I was sort of just trying to figure out how to put songs together and have them feel good. Yeah. And then in this project, it was more like, oh, like, I now understand that I have the ability to do that. So now I can really dive into, like, I don't know, being a little more intricate with how I write and what I'm writing about or how I'm describing a feeling or a situation.
Yeah.
Probably by the next project, it'll be an easier process.
Yeah.
Because then I'll get that down. But yeah, I'm like learning as I go. Like I think just, what does Derek say? He said something, the guy that owns the label that I'm with, he's like, we're building the plane as it's flying instead of building it before we take off.
So you're just jumping into it.
I'm like, yeah, I'm figuring it out. Yeah, it's working.
I mean, when you start with the mentality is probably a bit different because when you start with a project like you did last year, it's almost like it's your first time that your audience is really like seeing you as a whole. And so I'm guessing it probably felt a bit like, you know, what do I want people to, you know, learn about me up front? Like, what do I want to come out with, I guess, like right away? What picture do I want to show people from the get-go? Yeah. But this one was more of a theme album, in my opinion. I feel like you were able to, you know, dive in on more, having more of a like concrete idea of like, I want it to be about relationships and love and like my evolution through that versus that pressure, I guess, that you might have felt in the first one. Did it feel different while you were making this one than it did last time?
Yeah. And that's cool that you bring that up too, because I'm trying to be more intentional about putting out projects that like tell a bit more of a story. This one, I sort of had to like pull the theme out of it after we'd like compiled all the songs. The first one was more just, I really wanted everything to kind of like be a hit, and I wanted to like flex like the weird pockets that I could probably like find in place of being like a really awesome singer, you know?
Just show off what you can do.
Yeah, exactly. Just more figuring out what my skill set would be going forward. And then in this project, it's getting closer to sort of being thematic. And then
But you said you didn't intentionally from the get-go shoot for that, for it to be thematic?
Yeah.
So something you found out afterward?
Yeah, I think just like organically I've started to, I went through a phase very truly that was like I had to write about the relationships that I was in and the things I was going through. And then it was easy to like see that after the fact, like, oh, there was a theme that I was writing with. It wasn't super intentional, but it was definitely
so it was just speaking
purposeful.
On experiences that you were going through at that time. And it's sort of what came out.
Pretty cool.
It's when the most like authentic and relatable stuff comes out to even the people who are listening, I think, too, not trying to fabricate it maybe beforehand. I mean, great albums come out like that. But
definitking, that's cool. I would hope so.
So where did you talk about going through this period in the last year, I guess, working on the EP, but talk to me a little bit about like painting the picture of where the idea started and where the journey began to eventually put out this body of work. The beginning moments, if you will.
In the beginning, let me see. I don't know.
The genesis.
Actually, I think it really. Oh, no. Yeah, it started with Catch and Release. Like, I made that song, and then after that, I was like, oh, like, this is a cool, like, I feel very confident in the sound and this way of writing and, you know, this way about alluding to the things happening in my life. It felt really good. And then from that point forward, we'd made like we'd sort of experimented with different genres. Like I don't think that it's very uniform in lieu of a specific style, like sonically. But after we got Catch and Release down, we sort of hit a stride and just started making all the songs. And then we made the Patriot, and then Air Atlantica came up with like another one of those kind of dancey beats, and then we got Complicated on there, and that was awesome. Yeah.
So they just rolled into one another.
Yeah, it all just sort of started happening. There was no stragglers either. I feel like as a whole, the project came together pretty quickly. Yeah. I'm notoriously not a fan of finishing songs, so I would make the first half of all these songs, and then Matt and Cam would have to force me to go back in and make like a second verse for all of them. I don't like finishing songs.
Why? Why do you think that is?
Because then they're done. And then they never get to be anything else, really. I mean, they do if I go back to them, but like it's so permanent. It's so scary.
It's scary to let it go?
Yeah, like for it to be done, like because there's infinite possibilities in a song. Yeah. And you have to limit it down to one. Right. Even if you hear the million that could be. Mm-hmm. You got to pick one version. That's scary. I think I just am very scared of commitment. I think that's what it boils down to. Well. So, you know, I don't know.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that that's something that a lot of artists, at least I've talked to, struggle with, is like getting to a point where it's you're ready to put it out.
Yeah, because it'll never be finished.
It'll never be finished unless you force yourself to put it out.
Yeah.
So then how are you able then to get to a point, or you're still learning, I guess.
I am still
but then
very much
specifically
learning.
Then I guess we could talk about for this project, how are you able to get to a point where you're like, all right, I gotta let it go? Maybe it was him telling you.
Yeah, it was literally him telling me. Yeah, it was Matt telling me. It was Cam telling me. It was the label telling me. Like, I just sort of had to finish it. And I really don't like it.
And once it's out, though, do you find yourself going back to it and thinking, like, damn, I wish I could have done something different?
I have a block in my brain that will not allow me to do that, because if I could, I would drive myself absolutely insane with it. Yeah, a little. But it's okay.
So it's hard to get it out, but then once it is out, it's like...
Then it's there.
You seem like you're able to then let it breathe and just...
Yeah, I think I just disassociate from the fact that it's out.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So do you find yourself going back to it then at all?
Yeah.
Like, will you re-listen to it?
Like, yes. I think it's silly because I do this thing where I won't listen to it on Spotify or a streaming platform where it's, like, officially out, published there. I, like, listen to it in my app, like, my Files app. Yeah. Like, I'll listen to one of the demo versions. And I think that's
and in your mind, it's never finished.
Yeah, I think that's how I'm coping. Where it's like, yeah, I'm listening to an unfinished version, so it'll always be a little unfinished. Like, you know, like Catch and Release is my favorite song, one of my favorite songs.
And are you happy with the way it?
Yeah, I love that song.
Yeah.
Is there more we could have done? Of course. Maybe in the future, will I do something else? Yes. In live shows, I like to not play them at all how they sound in the recordings. Yeah. So they take on different genres and like different styles and stuff, and it's fun.
It gives you an opportunity.
It's therapeutic.
Yeah, exactly. It gives you the opportunity to almost go back to it.
Yeah, and I love that.
Yeah, but that set off the album in a great way, in my opinion. I think it was. I want to get to that before I even get to that, because there's so much I want to talk about. Okay. Let me relax.
Okay.
Let's start with, because the sort of theme I mentioned with the album, I told you I watched Poor Things last night because of you.
You watched it last night?
That's how fresh it is.
Damn. Okay.
And crazy. I was even like trying to figure out, what is this movie talking about? Like, it's been on my mind a lot. I'm not gonna lie.
Hell yeah. You gotta watch it again. It thinks.
Oh no, I won't watch it again.
Come on, it's so good. You got it. The more you watch it, the more it makes sense. Anyways,
I think
don't.
I need to sit with it. Maybe you can explain it to me.
Okay.
But I mean, the movie was crazy. I think just from like the cinematography, everything, just
right?
like the fishbowl, the film they were giving you half the time, and going from black and white to like color. Like, I get that was just it was just a crazy experience. Yeah. But I understand that like a Changeable Feast comes from that. Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about like what spoke to you so much about that movie, and why that was what you decided to go with for the title of the project and sort of the theme of the project.
The why was I couldn't figure out a good title for the EP, and my friends who are in a band told me their trick whenever they get stumped on titles is to just like find a quote that speaks to them and rip it off. Or a lot of the time they do that with like movies or shows or books that they're reading.
Yeah.
So I sat and I thought about it, and Poor Things was a really good movie that I love a lot. So I just took it from there.
Was it something recent that you watched, or you
No.
just came back to it?
No, it just
because it
like,
must have been like lingering there.
yeah, it very heavily resonated with me, and I think I had found the overarching theme of the project and then was trying to like apply that via a quote from something that also sort of lent itself to the whole like finding yourself through relationships and stuff.
Yeah.
And that movie is pretty much the epitome of that. Is like she's finding herself by observing the human condition and like how people interact with each other and how she interacts with others, and yep, it made perfect sense.
It made perfect sense, but it's crazy to me that like that. So that didn't come out intentionally at first. Of like, I'm gonna make, because I almost feel like it could have been a soundtrack along with the project, as far as like
hell yeah, what?
as far, maybe not as dark, but as far as like just the themes that it was touching on, sort of that evolution of like her constantly evolving from like, you know, in an infant's brain to like
into like
a
an
grown
entirely
woman.
matured woman.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very cool. Serendipitous that it came together like that.
Exactly. Yeah, it sometimes just works out like that.
Yeah.
In the project, I hear a lot of evolution, like we said about the movie. In your definition, what it seems like of love and relationships, and what that's sort of like. Catch and Release is a perfect example of it, I feel like, because it really touches on that like push and pull of wanting to keep something, but then also like knowing you need to let it go.
Can't be doing that. Yeah.
Right. So there's a beautiful moment that was referenced, that Matt referenced to me. I believe Matt, or whoever gave me insider information.
Matt,
about
what are you doing?
You said the that it came from like the moment that sort of stemmed from was you sitting down. You said, from what I hear, sitting down, it was peaceful, and then you kept getting texts from somebody.
Matt, are you exposing me on the side? Yes.
But that's a really important moment, I think, to touch on, because I feel like it sort of changes your definition of like of that push and pull and like the patterns that you've been in, I guess. So I want to talk a little bit about that like realization, I guess, of like that you realized that was sort of like a theme that was going on, and you needed to sort of take a step back from something that you cared about a lot, probably, but then also were like, okay, now it's time to sort of let it go. So what was Catch and Release in reference to, and sort of what was it like to let that go, those moments?
Yeah. It was a very intense time. Pretty sad, but also very cathartic, I think. Yeah, I was in like a pretty toxic relationship, as we all have.
We've all been there.
You know what I'm saying? It's a great time. It's awesome. But actually, from the individual, I learned how to sort of let it go, because I'd seen him do it so many times with me in our own relationship. He's a very avoidant man. Yeah. And I had never understood why or how he was able to sort of just like disconnect himself from his emotions and stuff, or, you know, just relationships in general. It was so jarring to me. I didn't understand the logic behind it, and I think the longer we were together, it was like a 3-year span on and off, I had sort of started to take note and realize the ways in which like he was compartmentalizing his life so that he could do his work, or he could have a social life outside of me, or, you know, live an entirely alternate life that was not reflective of being in a monogamous relationship, whatever.
Right.
And towards the end, when he'd been, like, blowing up my phone and I'm trying to work, I sort of identified entirely with what he must have felt like at points in our relationship when I was feeling very anxious and I was texting him a lot and he was in the studio or he was trying to work, you know what I mean? And it sort of came full circle where I was on the other side of it and he was me and I was him. And it was validating and really just, I don't know, I never thought I would understand him or that side or how you could treat someone in such an avoidant way. Yeah. And as I was literally trying to write and work on Catch and Release, it all came together and I realized like, oh, like I have to prioritize my work. I have to prioritize making songs like this, and I can't be in a relationship with a person who is going to hound on me and, you know, can I swear? Yeah. Be up my ass and around the corner about like, you know, what I'm doing, who I'm with, who's the producer, is he a guy, Is he a gay guy? Is he a straight guy? It was crazy.
Very high
It
school.
was awesome. Yeah, it was such a traumatizing time in my life.
But was it, so when you say that though, was it some, you said you got to see it from the other side.
Yeah.
So was it something then that you were reciprocating then at
like,
that time? Like, but it was hard to notice when you were in it, I guess?
Yeah, I was very aware when the realization had come to me that I was now in a position to treat him quite similarly to how I had been treated in the past. I'd like to think that because of that understanding of both sides, I treated it with a little bit more grace and like empathy. I tried to communicate what was happening and like what boundaries I'd need to have going forward if we were going to continue trying to make a very tumultuous time work. Yeah, I like to think that I handled it better than he had, but who knows? It's subjective. Yeah. So it's okay.
What was so cathartic about it then? Because it's a really like defining moment, I feel like, in anybody who's been in a relationship like that. So the comfortability is one thing where it's easy to like stay attached to something, obviously, because you're so used to it and someone not being there anymore. Yeah. But to be able to come to a realization like that where you're like, I actually need to take a step back and to actually do it is difficult. So what felt so cathartic about after you were able to let it go? Or maybe it didn't feel cathartic right away. Maybe it was really difficult.
It's sort of in the moment had started like, it came with the realization of like, oh, this is something I have to do in order to maintain a career and like look forward to my future. I have to put this energy into myself. I can't do that in a relationship. And like, I think just because for such a long time being in that relationship, I was very anxiously attached. I was like new to LA. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anything. He'd done some silly thing. It was some tea. We could talk about it later. Okay. But yeah, it was just like I throughout the course of the relationship had attained some new baggage. And so being able to let go of him sort of also meant being able to let go of everything that had happened throughout the course of that. And I never thought it was going to be something I'd feel confident enough in letting go of. Because I was so anxiously attached. I was so attached to this person. And, you know, I'll always love that person. But when I was making Catch and Release, when I was working on the album or the EP, I think in my own personal life and personal growth, my priorities had shifted from, you know, maintenance on a relationship to maintenance on my dreams and my goals in life. Yeah. So accompanied with everything else, I just, so it was easier to let go of.
So you were in that then when Sorry for the Wait came out. So it's a completely different headspace that you must have been in with this. Yeah. Which is crazy.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
Much more peaceful, I will say. Yeah. Just being able to give like 100% of myself to my craft and like my art and what I aspire for in the future. It's really nice.
You didn't have the outside things to sort of worry about.
Yeah.
As much, at least. Or at least in that aspect.
I think the more I fixate and focus and prioritize my career, the less I feel inclined to like have intimate connections with people in that way. I've become avoidant. What's up? I don't know.
We also, I think, just get lost in the work of like.
Yeah, and this is the perfect time to do that. I'm young. This is what I'm supposed to be doing with my time. What am I going to do? Have kids? No.
Probably not.
No. No, actually.
Well, I think even letting go of that, it lets you find that love that you have for that person in other aspects of your life. Too. Which it seems like you've poured into the music.
Definitely, actually. Yeah, I definitely have a sweeter taste in my mouth now about that person now that it's at a distance and I know it's in the past. You know, there are things to reflect on that were horrible and there's things to reflect on that, you know, I mean, I've fundamentally changed as a person because of that relationship for the better, which is an amazing thing. I'll always be grateful for. Yeah.
Did you have sort of this, all these things that we're sort of talking about and the realizations and just the evolution that you felt, did it come through making the project? Did it come before making the project? Like what was a bit of the timeline of like, it's a difficult thing to get over. I'm assuming it took a time to get over, but this project felt like there was some distance in between it. Yeah. In the sense of like you were able to analyze yourself versus it being like I'm coming straight out of something? It doesn't
Yeah.
sound like you came straight out of it and
No.
went and like started recording stuff.
Yeah.
So what was that sort of timeline like in between?
It was a bit dispersed. Like I had said earlier, like once I had gotten Catch and Release out, they did start rolling together pretty easily.
Yeah.
Definitely there was some space in between just to like live life and process what was going on. But a lot of my acceptance of everything that was happening came through making the music. And the more that I made music and the more that I was able to like feel like I was gaining my confidence in my sound and stuff and like figuring out what that even is, I still don't really know. But the more that I did that, the less I was like hurt over the relationship, and it just got to a point where music became the thing that made me feel happy again. So I just fell in love basically with something else.
With music.
Does that sound corny? It does sound corny. It's all good.
It's true though.
Whatever.
I mean, it makes sense though.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mentioned that it seems like you're looking very inward on this project and not so much outward, in the sense of like I don't want to say not pointing fingers, because in some instances you do.
Yeah.
Which is okay, right? But it's to me about the relationship that you have with yourself and sort of like what you let slide almost, and like what things that you were sort of accepting that were like, this is just the way things are and this is okay. Do you feel like up until this point in making the project, or even in this just who you are right now, that you were looking almost for those answers outside of yourself, if that makes sense? Like,
I mean, we've all got our problems. It was never like there's something wrong with this person, you know, like I'm not a perfect person by any means. Apparently I'm crazy, so you know. I guess.
And who's that?
Matt's told me once or twice, you know, if my manager says it must be true. I'm joking.
He's supposed to keep you honest.
Yeah, exactly, and he does. But no, it's definitely very self-reflective. I feel like all the healing that happened and the acceptance like came through the music, but what was coming through the music was very much an understanding of self, like understanding what I took away from that relationship, how that relationship had impacted me along with others. It's not just about that specific one, but just how I handle different situations and how that comes into a whole and develops in like a human person.
But you're using the music almost as like a conduit to like sort of figure these things out, it seems like. Is there any point throughout this, making this EP in particular, that was more a song maybe, or a moment that was more difficult to make than others?
In terms of like sonically, yeah, but then like in terms of like just getting it out due to lack of like writer's block or something, like nothing like that. It was mostly sonically trying to make everything perfect. So
there wasn't anything that was more difficult to talk about emotionally that you felt like was like this touched me more?
No.
Maybe it's that
I really wanted to talk my shit, and I did a lot about a lot of different things. So that wasn't the difficult part. Nowadays it is. It's been really difficult to
recently
talk about my yeah
more so than it was when making this project.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Because I feel like you would have got it all out, like got it out of almost your system.
No, I feel like as it was happening, I was able to talk about it because I was so heated on it, and just everything, like even just the realizations of self, like things I was realizing about myself. I was like, oh my God, I got to talk about this. And I don't want to bug my friends about it because I could yap forever. So I just put it in songs. But now I think I'm a bit more content with my life, and it makes it difficult to write music. Sucks. Got to be going through stuff, man. Although I can't be sad when I write. People talk about being sad all the time when they're writing. I can't do that, dude.
So what state do you do then?
I don't know. I'm usually
angrily
I'm
happy?
either angry or I'm happy. It's one of those two things, to a degree.
That's interesting because I feel like a lot of like, I don't know. I could have, without having known anything about it prior to this, I could have felt like you were really going through it. And I mean, but this doesn't sound like it. To me, it doesn't sound like a depressing project.
I would hope not. I was trying not to be depressing
it doesn't sound
about
like
it.
But you're telling me you didn't feel like that when recording it, like you weren't in that state.
No. I think I can't be in a state of sadness when I'm writing because it's such a black hole of a feeling. And when you put song, like when you put sound and words to it, it drags you into it further. And I'm not the kind of person that has good enough self-control to not absolutely dive headfirst and fully subscribe to just like being so sad. Like it's addicting. You know what I mean? So I like to stay away from it. So if I'm in a really good place, I'll write a sad song.
So yeah.
Because then I can like tap into it at a safe distance where it's like, oh, sad things have happened to me, obviously. And I can talk about them now that I'm not in that place, because it's like having an anchor. I have to have an anchor. Otherwise, I float into the
Have you felt like you've lost yourself
abyss.
before in like trying to make something like that, or making something while those emotions have been super high?
Yeah, it's a scary time. I hate it. Don't like it. I'm kind of an insufferable human in those instances as well. Matt's never had to deal with that, thank God, and he never will. Yeah.
Well, you're putting something you're putting something really vulnerable out that I could see why you would just lose yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a point in time before I'd ever had music out where I was really strictly just writing. And it was a very difficult time in my life. And I'd written a lot of depressing songs, and it just made everything worse. And I got very lost in that and didn't even realize it until years later when I was okay again. Dude, it's a trip. It's a crazy thing.
I think it's interesting because it's interesting how different things motivate different people. Because you'll have some artists that think they make the best stuff from that.
Yeah, and they do. Like it just won't be me.
Yeah, but maybe the best stuff isn't the stuff that, I don't know, the stuff that they enjoy making, maybe. So maybe it's...
Some people are just, very masochistic, and they like hurting themselves as well. That's always a thing.
Yeah.
That happens. Couldn't be me, but it happens.
But it's nice that you're able to turn it into something that, like, whether it's distancing yourself from it or just turning it into, sometimes people talk about it and say they'll talk about those things and they sort of get it out of their system, and it's cathartic for them to talk about it in that way. But for you, it seems like it's more like, let me not go to that point. Let me not let myself get to that, and just keep having fun in the music.
Yeah, exactly. And it'll still reflect. Like, I do like to make what are you doing? I'm sorry. I got distracted. Okay. Sorry. What? Oh, what?
It was
I got it. Wait. No, what was it?
Keeping the music fun and not going into a place of like...
I write very sad stuff over very happy, like,
and that's what I think is interesting. It's
it's awesome.
It's oxymoron.
Yeah, it's great. And like, people can get down to it, but it's like actually kind of serious, guys. And I'm like, not necessarily okay, but like, at least we're dancing. It's fun. It's a good time.
Have you always felt like you relate to music that's on that end of the spectrum more so than like...
No.
Amy Winehouse?
No, I love Amy Winehouse, actually. It was one of my favorite artists growing up. Yeah, I listen to a lot of sad music. I just try not to make it in sad times of my life. I love sad music because it really makes you feel. There's so much depth. Yeah. And it's so applicable to everyone. Like, you might not be going through the same hyper-specific moment that this person has gone through, but like, you still relate to it just off of the feeling alone. It's so palpable in the music. It's nice making happy music. There will come a time when I do put out the more
when you have full sad
thought-provoking
EP.
sad stuff. I think I will make an album, and it will be very much that. It's good stuff. I have really good sad songs. I actually like my sad songs. But I wrote them when I was really happy.
Well, how does that make sense?
Well, you never reflect on a feeling that you had?
Yeah, I think it's just difficult to, or at least it would be difficult for me to get yourself back into a state that maybe happened a year ago.
It's like recalling a picture or like a movie that you watched. Like,
you have a good memory?
Yeah, no, yes, just a little. Like, not in the immediate, but in the long term, I remember things.